Welcome back to Straight Facts. I'm joined by the King Rat himself. The Golden Child is here. How are you, mate?
I'm good, man. I'm not getting so golden today. It's raining. 2 days straight it's rained.
I know.
So it's like English weather the last 2 days. Windy, rainy, bit humid.
The summer's over.
No. It's the first time it's rained for 5 months. So and then tomorrow it's back to 30 degrees again.
Nice. And
the other day, 6 a.m., thunder and lightning storm woke me up. And it ain't stopped raining since, really.
That's not what you need. It's not what you need. Viewers, by the way, smash rats. I want loads of rats in the comment section today. I want you to spam them rats into the comment section. A lot to talk about today. Zaha advanced talks to Chelsea. Gakpo to Arsenal. Aubameyang, is it done? Is it not? Dest to Manchester United as well. So transfer rumors. Of course, we're going to review a little bit of the weekend and get Lee's take on what's gone on. And bear with us because Lee has been accused of a heinous and terrible crime. And we are going to be delving into this. And I mean, the fact he's smiling after committing or being accused of committing such an atrocity against man. We'll be delving into that a little bit later in the show. In fact, we'll save that. We'll save the crime to later. So stay tuned for that. We'll save that. We want you to stay with us and watch. But interesting weekend of football that's just passed. Man United, 2 wins from 2. 84 million pounds on Antony. United looking all right, aren't they?
They didn't look great against Southampton.
Defended well.
But to be fair, Southampton, I see a lot of people, maybe you said it, maybe you was one of them that said it, that they're in a relegation fight this year. Maybe it was you. But I've seen quite a few people saying that they're relegation fodder, Southampton. I have no idea where this has come from. They are not relegation fodder. They're a pretty much 12th, 13th place team in the league. And they will be again. So for Man United to go down there and win, keep a clean sheet, it weren't pretty to watch. I watched the game. It was boring. But it's 2 wins in a row, and you just needed to stop the rot. You got the win against Liverpool, and I think any game after that was always going to be an anticlimax, wasn't it? That's pretty much what it turned out to be. But you got the job done. You've got a game tomorrow, I think.
Oh, we play Thursday.
Oh, Thursday. I'll get him prepped for the Europa League, yeah?
Yeah, get ready for Europa League and the big clash.
On Thursday?
Leicester away.
Oh, okay. Well, you should win that. And then it's Arsenal on Sunday.
And then it's you. So we won't speak again until after that game, mate. Like, it's
interesting.
It will be. I think on the Southampton thing, I think the reason why Southampton were being spoken about as relegation candidates is there's a big story that came out 2 weeks ago that the squad were annoyed that Ralph Hasenhüttl was still there. They thought he should have been sacked. And a lot of people thought, well, if the squad don't want him there anymore, they're going to capitulate. But they've done all right since. And look, they could have got a draw against us. I was happy with how we defended. Pretty decent. We've obviously landed Antony now, taking our spend up to nearly 200 million. A lot of money on him. How do you reckon Antony will do? What's your take on him, mate?
A lot of pressure on the 22-year-old with that price tag over his head, playing for one of the biggest clubs on the planet.
Yeah.
When they're in a bit of a sticky situation, Man United, they've not won anything for 5 years. You ain't won or competed for a league for God knows how long. And it's now he's the top boy. Based on transfer fee, he is now the main man. So it's a lot of pressure on him. But having said that, we ain't got a player like that in the Premier League. Somebody that direct, that tricky. People say Saint Maximin. No, he's not. He's not for me. I know he's had a good start to the season, but that guy's constantly injured. Like, just made of glass, that bloke. Other than that, we haven't got anyone that looks like they can be as direct as that. And this guy, from what I've seen, I don't watch Dutch football, but from what I've seen from the clips doing the rounds, from what I've seen in Champions League and stuff like that, he's mad talented, and he's super quick over a short space. Yeah, and his feet are lightning quick, so he's going to win a lot of penalties for Man United. I can see that coming all day long, mate.
Bruno's rubbing his hands together, getting that GA, baby, the GA.
Bruno is stat padding again, but I think he'll do well, mate. I can't lie. And if he does do well, I think you've got I think there's a clause in there that says Ajax get a percentage or something. Is that right, or was that the other way around? Ajax had the clause with the team before that. which
Yeah,
is why
so they
I think that's
20% of that 84 million. So like
Mm.
what's that, like 16, 17 million goes to Sao Paulo. But there's 5 million of add-ons, I think, that's related to United making it into the Champions League. So it's actually I think it's about 81 million we've paid, and then there's like 4 or 5 million in kind of add-ons. So yeah, look, I agree with you. I think it's a good sign. There's always pressure, but I like it. I listen. I don't watch Dutch football religiously. What I have seen, what I've read, and I always say to people, the best thing to read are like scouting reports on a player before they're heavily linked to for a big move. You kind of get an honesty from people when that's the case. When it's like a Man United fan website writing a scouting report after he's linked, there's always a shred of bias. Where it's just someone a year ago doing a kind of profile piece on him, that's what I like to read. And I think it could be really exciting for the Premier League. He has to deliver at that price. The pressure is on for him. The pressure is on for Ten Hag and the Glazers for spending that much money. But I think a really good signing. And look, our last 2 games, our new signings look good. They fit his philosophy. And I was talking to Rance actually yesterday. We were chatting just on WhatsApp. And like he and a lot of United fans are just starting to get that feeling of kind of excitement again. There's a long way to go. There's a lot of improvement. I know you just done a show with him, so I'm sure he brought it up. But you can tell that there's a little bit of worry in rivals that this might work because of the level of salt and anger they've got that we're spending so much money. Like you can always tell there's a little bit, because when we signed Maguire for that much money, everyone laughed. And they laughed at Lisandro Martinez until they saw him play. And now they're like, oh, Jesus, he's actually all right. They laughed at Malacia for being unknown. And now they're thinking, the kid looks good. So I think there's an element of that to come. And we also linked to this Dest from Barca. And it's a really mixed bag. Barca fans keep telling me he's absolute poo.
crap.
He's
rubbish,
crap.
mate.
Do you think he is? Do you think he's that bad?
He's rubbish, mate. Yeah, Hector Bellerin's a better right back than him.
Oh, God.
Bellerin's available, by the way. You can have Bellerin if you want. I'll come and pick him up.
Bro, do you know what?
Dest is rubbish, mate. Honestly, he is not good.
No vegans allowed.
He can't defend. Like he runs around a lot and he'll get forwards, but he's always out of position. He can't defend. He's rash. It's a weird one, man. I'm shocked that you're linked to him. Like out of all the possible right backs there are, you're in for him.
Yeah, I feel like
that don't make any sense. That smacks to me of you've done all your dough. Yeah, you've done all your money.
I think it's a little bit. Do you remember going on your 18 to 30 holidays when you were younger and you do all your dough and then you're like, right, how do I live on like £8 a day for like 2 weeks? how do I live on it? Like, how do I work this out? What can I do? And in the end, it's like, Dad, can I have some more money, please? Can you transfer? But yeah, I think I'm not sold on him based on what I've seen, what I've read, and what I'm told. I get the feeling that Ten Hag is also not sold on him, and this is why the story's always. And the story that I read today, I actually want to go to it wherever I've got it written down here. It's like Man United exploring the possibility of a late bid for him. Barcelona are the ones that are actually like pushing hard for this. It's Barcelona that are trying to force the issue, as it were. And I think a lot of that is because Barca want him gone. But I think Ten Hag's like, oh, look, I worked with him before. A year, I think he's good. But can he cope in the Prem? The problem that we have is that Delo isn't good enough. But he can be worked with, but he isn't good enough. And AWB is as bad. The one thing I say about AWB to Dest, though, is at least AWB can defend. Okay, like he's not a bad defender, in my opinion. Going forward, he's an abomination. But I'd rather a defender be bad at attacking and good at defending than the other way around. Like I don't really see the point of bringing a defender in that's probably going to make us leak goals. And we're really trying not to do that. And it's been and it has been a good start for us after those first couple of games. The last 2 matches since Maguire's been dropped, since
coincidence that you've won them both.
Well, him and Luke Shaw both being dropped. I think Ronaldo being dropped, bruv, is so key. And yes, he came on as one of the first subs this game just gone, but I believe that was more because Martial was injured. The fact that he is behind Martial now in the pecking order, the strength of Ten Hag to do that, I think he's sending shockwaves through the dressing room where people are like, hang on a minute. Suddenly we've got a manager that's being allowed to do what he wants. And people are overlooking. These are the biggest problems that were always at Man United. It was never so much the manager's tactics. It was the fact that once upon a time, Jose was being told that he couldn't drop players. How's that going to make anybody behave themselves in that dressing room when that's going on? So, yeah, I think it's going to be a real interesting one. Super Chat here says, I don't want to listen to any more about we're interested in a player Barca are looking to sell. Please no more. Just get over the Frankie de Jong fiasco. Well, he's in London. No one's going to get over it. The man's in London, and there'll be a story tomorrow. I'm actually telling people there'll be a story tomorrow of some sort about Frankie de Jong, Man United, Chelsea, Liverpool. There'll be something that will come out tomorrow, because you know that the journalists have been working tirelessly to try and make a connection.
Don't you think it's funny, right? Because Fabrizio put out there yesterday that he's in London, but it's just a regular holiday. It's not anything to do with transfers. Out of all the places to go on holiday, why would you go to London?
Yeah, I mean,
it's sum that up.
Like I like London, unless he's here to buy something specific from a certain shop. You know, maybe him and his missus are doing something in Hatton Garden. We know that they're specialized shops. Maybe there's a wedding dress shop or a suit shop on Savile Row that he can't get anywhere else in the world. Maybe that's the only reason. Because what is the point of London? I believe it's a holiday, but I believe there is an element of something could happen. So I just be in London? Should I just be there? You know, maybe though, I did say earlier today, maybe he's trolling. Maybe because wouldn't you love him to do an Instagram story tomorrow and driving past and as you see every shoulder, like Stamford Bridge. Do you know what I mean?
Whose agent was it that did that the other day? Remember when we did the show?
I think it was De Jong's agent.
Was it his agent?
It might have been De Jong's agent or his doctor or his or somebody's solicitor of some sort. But what you should do is him and his missus should go into a sports shop and just take a normal selfie, but make sure the Man United kit's behind them, something like that, in just obscurely in the background to get people's tongues wagging, but or something.
Yeah, mate, I think them Barca ultras will be onto him, mate, real quick.
Yeah, no, they probably would, but it's say I don't think United will sign De Jong now. I felt that for a while, but I'm happy with the direction that we're going in, and I'm going to wait and see how we play against Leicester. But I wouldn't have had this 2 weeks ago, but I've got a little bit of confidence before we play you lot. I have a little bit of confidence. You're still the best team in the league right now on form. You've been great. And that probably leads nicely, actually, because I know people are waiting. What is this? You weren't you? I mean, this weekend, Arsenal have gone 4 from 4 wins from 4.
Yep.
Top of the league.
Yep.
Title contention. Arteta out is in the mud and all that. Rat Army being drowned in bags and all that sort of stuff. But I was told this, by yourself and a few others, that you were accused of a very serious crime over the course of the weekend relating to Arsenal. Tell us about it, Lee.
Well, yeah, we scored a goal in the 88th minute at home to Fulham, and it was a scrappy goal, but they all count. And I didn't celebrate that much. So yeah, obviously me not celebrating so much is big news in the Arsenal community. Apparently, who knew?
Yeah, I mean, I saw video clips, I saw tweets from people. I knew he wasn't an Arsenal fan. How dare he not celebrate that winning goal? I went and watched it, and I was like, I've seen madder celebrations, but at the same time, I was like, oh, there it is. And
do you know what's funny about that? It was I think a 5-second clip or 9-second clip. Yeah, but I was sitting there, I had Photoshop open, I had OBS open, I had DAZN with the game on, all on the same Mac. I've got StreamYard open, I've got the control room on YouTube open. Yeah, and I'm sitting there and I'm trying to change the score as the goal's going in. Yeah, and as it's gone to, so I'm sitting there like that. See, bro, we were rubbish. I don't know why people are getting so hyped. When we played Fulham last time, I think Eddie Nketiah scored in the 96th minute to equalise against them and run off into an empty crowd, giving it his weird celebration with the phone. Yeah, his cringe celebration. Yeah, to an empty crowd. And even that, if you go back to the watch along I did for that, I just went, you lucky, you know what? Yeah, I said it on the stream. I was like, you lucky so-and-sos. Because we didn't deserve anything against Fulham that day. At the weekend, we did deserve to win the game. They didn't do anything really. But at the same time, we the way people go on about, me not celebrating, what is your life? Really? The funny thing is, Terry, is if a fan of Arsenal, right, celebrated and knee sliding around their apartment, or were at the game and celebrating, what does it matter if somebody else didn't? Because as long as you did, who cares? It makes no sense. And then I've seen people going absolutely nuts on Andy Gray and Richard Keys because of their comments about Arteta over celebrating. And it's just like, my God, man, like football social media at times is just hilarious, isn't it? It's like, everybody has to be seen as the most positive, best football fan. Otherwise, you're a Spurs fan. It's just like, get over it. At the end of the day, Terry, I expect to beat Fulham. Yeah, we done it in the last minute. What am I supposed to be knee sliding across the marble? Like, come on, do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's ridiculous. Terry, I've seen games last season, where we've equalised in stoppage time or we've won in stoppage time, and I've just sat there laughing, like we're lucky, we're rubbish. Yeah, this season we started off well, 4 out of 4, but as I've said on this show and many other streams and shows, as soon as we have Thomas Partey out injured, the drop-off in quality is immense. And we had Xhaka and El Neni in midfield, and it was slow, it was sideways, it was boring to watch. When Eddie Nketiah came off the bench, we were 1-0 down. All of a sudden, we had a little bit more urgency. Well, why should it take us going 1-0 down to Fulham to actually start peppering shots at their goal? Like, we should be battering them, no disrespect. And all I hear out of people is, oh, but they drew with Liverpool. Oh, what, the same Liverpool you lot are laughing at saying they're finished? So make your minds up, a Liverpool finished or a Liverpool good team? Because if they drew with them, only last week you were saying they were finished. Now Liverpool are apparently a good team because Fulham drew with them. And then Crystal Palace were 2-0 up against Manchester City, and everyone's like messaging me going, see, that Palace game wasn't so easy after all, was it? I said, yeah, don't worry. I said to one of my pals, I said, don't worry, City will batter him in the second half. And what happened? City battered him in the second half. Yeah, Crystal Palace are a good team. Yeah, don't get it twisted. But at the end of the day, we shouldn't be losing 3-0 away to Crystal Palace ever. That should never happen. And so far, so good. But Terry, I've said it all summer. I've said it on these shows since the season started. If Thomas Partey gets injured, we're in trouble. If Jesus gets injured, we're in trouble. And I know it's ifs, but with some of these players, it's inevitable. And inside 3 games, Thomas Partey's out for the next 5. So
is Thomas Partey? Yeah, is he going to be out for that long?
He's out until the Everton game apparently, but that includes the Europa League as well. So whether he was going to play in the Europa League, I don't know, but he's out until apparently the Everton game. He's going to miss the Everton game as well, so the game after that.
And El Neni's out as well, isn't he?
El Neni's out for ways. He's going to be out for weeks and weeks apparently. So that's 2 midfielders. Zinchenko has got a sprain to his knee, but apparently was in training today. So, but this is what I keep saying to people. Everyone's getting excited and cool. Be excited, be happy, jump for joy if we score, jump for joy if we win football matches. Cool. Yeah, but to sit there and like the post that you put out, saying somebody put out saying we're going to go invincible, like turn it in. Like, come on. Yeah, we're going to win the league. All of this, we're title contenders rubbish. Just stop it. And this is why I get the ump sometimes, because it's from one extreme to another with Arsenal. It's either Kroenke out or we're the best team in the world. Like, there's no middle, is there? It's like we don't learn. Every season we don't learn as a fan base. Like last season, Terry, we were 4 points clear in 4th place with 3 to go. And we didn't get 4th. And then this season, we win 3. And all of a sudden, we're now title contenders. Everything's changed. Bro, the teams we've played, I expect to beat, which is why I said I expect us to win 5 out of 5. And we've won 4 out of 4, and I think we'll beat Villa.
So do you feel like Arsenal fans are going a little bit over the top in terms of their celebrating at the minute? Do you think it's a little bit too far in your opinion?
Listen, if you want to celebrate a win, cool, celebrate the win. I don't care. Yeah, if I don't want to, I don't want to. Like, if I ain't going to sit there jumping around getting my knickers in a twist because we scored against Fulham in stoppage time. But at the same time, when I see people sitting there gassing up a title charge, and this season we've got versatility. That's the buzzword all season, by the way. I've been saying that all summer. Yeah, the versatile Manchester City player, Zinchenko, linked to Arsenal. What do you mean versatile? Like,
he's a left back.
Well, exactly. How many times has he played in midfield? Yeah, and this is the thing. Like the versatile. Oh, he's got versatility. Then obviously I've been seeing people all summer putting Zinchenko in 3 different positions on their squad for squad depth. Then we had Maitland-Niles in 3 different positions. Then we had it was the lad Norton Cuffy, I think it was. He's just gone out on loan. Yeah, Charlie Patino was part of squad depth. Well, he's out on loan. And it's like when you actually dissect our squad, I've been saying it ain't good enough, Terry. And if you look at the bench that we had the other day, all of a sudden we've got 2 first-team players out injured, and the state of that bench was disgusting. Yeah, just two players out, and the bench was disgusting. So we need a right back. I've been saying that because we've got two centre backs covering at right back at the minute because the two right backs we've got ain't good enough. Then we've got one right winger at this football club because we got rid of Pepe. He's been hounded out because apparently he's no good. And now we're looking at a guy from the Ukrainian league, and now everyone's an expert on him. One report I've seen tonight is he is the Ukrainian Neymar. Oh, wow. With the whopping 2 goals he scored in his career. Do you know what I mean? But everyone's now, oh, he's brilliant. He's this, he's that. You don't watch Ukrainian league football. Stop. Like, come on. It's the same with, like, every time we're linked to a player, like, it's just, this is a great signing if we can get, no, go and sign Pedro Neto, mate. Yeah, go and sign a player that already knows the league. Yeah, that doesn't have to move country. He's already in the country. Is 1 year older than this kid we're linked to. Yeah, but it's the cheap and cheerful option again, isn't it? Let's go for the £25 million player rather than the £50 million player that could potentially be world class. Yeah, because Neto could be world class. We need a player on the right wing. We need a right back. We need a DM, and I feel we need another striker. So there's 4 more players we need, and that for me is just to get in the top 4, Terry. Yeah, that's without a title charge. So people are going to have a long, hard look at themselves at the end of this season and decide whether they want to carry on lying to themselves and to everyone on the internet, or whether they're actually going to start saying the truth about this manager in this squad.
Yeah, look, I listen. I understand where you're coming from on the celebrating side of things. I do. Like you know as well as I do that I think you're a much improved team. I think you're so much better than you were last year. And I mean what I've said in my last video. I think that you're going to become title contenders this year. And whether that means challenging for the title this year or becoming ready to challenge for a title next year over the course of this season, I really feel like you've got some brilliant young players. However, though, I've said it in every video where I've praised you, this last 3 days of the window are key. If you don't sign another midfielder and another winger, if you don't spend that money on Neto and for instance, Tielemans, you could live to regret. You could really live to regret that. And it's almost, and you've seen now, and hopefully the fact that you've got the Partey and Antony injury before the window shuts, it should be the wake-up call to the fans. And I've called a lot of Arsenal fans out on this. I'm saying, listen, I'm with you in the sense that you're improved. But this whole, but we might not get injuries. You're more likely to get injuries than not in football. Like, no one goes for a season with no injuries. It is a rarity. So you need to have that extra depth. You absolutely do. So I think there's a balance to it. I just want to bring some breaking news, actually, and I'm going to absolutely butcher the guy's name. But Fabrizio Romano has just confirmed that Chelsea are in advanced talks with RB Leipzig to sign the young centre back of theirs. I'm going to put his name into Google Translate and have him say it out loud.
Johnny.
Yeah, because I am awful at pronouncing it, and it's got so many letters and there you go. I'm going to get
normally a name does have letters.
Gvardiol. Sorry, Gvardiol. I think it's Gvardiol. This is it in Croatian.
Gvardiol.
This is in English.
Just go Gvardiol.
Gvardiol. So it says that they're in advanced talks to sign him. A deal would be complete now, with him staying at Leipzig for 1 more year. So he wouldn't join for a year. So it looks like Chelsea are about to sign him, ladies and gentlemen. So yeah, that deal is done and dusted. Well, it looks like it's going to happen. Looks like it's going to be over the line. Looks like it's going to get done. So yeah, interesting piece of business that. Official proposal submitted, 90 million euros. This is what's funny, actually. I know we'll come back to Arsenal in a minute, people. What's really funny about that price is this is a centre-back who is, doing it in the German league, but that's 90 million euros for a fairly untested defender. Like, when people say, oh, you're spending 100 million on an untested attacker, attackers are always more expensive than defenders. Like, I've been talking about this for ages now. These are the kind of prices that you're going to have to start paying for these types of players moving forward. You really are. Like, all young, talented players now are going to be, and Morgan gives White's an example. This is a kid that weren't even playing regularly for Wolves. He went for 44 million. Like, what's that in euros? Like 50 million pounds. That's a benchmark. There's no way. Like, I don't know how good this kid is, but
Did you say 90 or 19?
No, not 90 million.
90 million.
90 million. 90 million.
90 million.
Or I think that's somewhere. I think that's about 7.6 billion rupees. I'm reporting everything in the highest denominations we can find at the minute, just to be sold. Like it's 90 million. I'm not even joking. 90, according
That's
to this is
insane.
unless Fabrizio's typed it wrong. That is what I'm reading right now. Official proposal submitted today around 90.
So that's
around
76.5 million pounds.
Yeah, but and this is my point. When people
And they've just done what 75 million on Fofana.
mate, they're bidding 70 million. They've just bid 70 million for what 6 + 10 for Anthony Gordon. And then people are saying you shouldn't spend 75, 80 million on Antony. And I'm like, well, if you're going to spend it on Anthony Gordon, you're going to have to spend it on Antony. Like, I know he's doing it in the Eredivisie and they don't always translate, but someone did try and say yesterday, you can't name 5 players from the Eredivisie that have made it in the Prem. And literally, I did it in 6 seconds. I was like, Bergkamp, Stamp, Van Nistelrooy. I didn't say Suarez. I said Gini Wijnaldum because he won the Premier League.
There's another one.
I know, and then I just started ringing them off. And I said, even the smaller signings. I went, like players like Daily Bill and Park Ji-sung were a success for the price they cost. But yeah, listen, I mean, Chelsea have done some. Chelsea's approach this time has been so interesting because they've signed some really young, talented, up and coming players, and some like elder statesmen that are there at the end of their careers. It's almost like they're burning the candle at both ends for some stability now. But that's like 100 and. Someone here says 150 million on centre backs. It's crazy.
Some of the comments on Fabrizio's tweet. Yeah. There's a guy in there goes, "What is Bowley cooking?" He goes, 90 million. Somebody goes, 90 million for a player we've never heard of him. He's cooking crap. Mate, I've not heard of this guy. I can't lie, but I don't watch German football, Terry, because that league is shocking. Yeah, that league is so rubbish. It's mad. Yeah, well, apart from Bayern Munich, they're pretty poor, aren't they?
Yeah, you start going beyond the top 2 or 3 teams and the standard drops. Like there for me, I saw everybody trying to do their standard, like, oh no, it's just as bad here as abroad. When Liverpool won 9-0 at the weekend, everyone's like, see, we have big results like Ligue 1 and Bundesliga. And I'm like, yeah, but the Bundesliga and Ligue 1 have about 7 or 8 Bournemouths. We might have one a year that are like that are legit whipping boys who everybody batters. And then 3 or 4 teams a year stick stupid amounts of goals past. Those leagues have like, that's why, like I said it before, you'll have Champions League games where the likes of Bayern and the likes of PSG can rotate an entire 11 players and still win 3 or 4-0. Can't do that in the Prem. If Liverpool were playing on a Tuesday night in the Champions League and on Saturday were away to Nottingham Forest in the league and they rotated their first 11 players out, they don't win that game, or they're losing until they bring some of those players on. They can't do it. So look, I'm not saying this kid, I think it's Gvardiol, people would tell me it's pronounced. I'm not saying he isn't going to be a star. He might be, but people laughing at what we've spent on Antony, that's the price now. I've been telling everybody for ages. Once the money comes back into the game, this is where it's going to be. According to City, tried 80 million for him. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying he isn't talented. I'm just stating that that's how much these youngsters are going for now. Money of football is crazy, mate. Crazy money.
And the thing is that, to be honest, that's probably wise from Chelsea to go and get another centre back because Thiago Silva's out of contract next summer. So that guy is then going to spend another year out in Germany and then be his replacement probably. But mate, they need players now. Like, they need players for now in midfield badly because their midfield is shocking. They need a striker straight away. Like, their midfield is not that great. Kante can't do it for a season. Kovacic is injured. Mason Mount just ain't doing it this season. And what else have they got? They need midfielders badly. They desperately need a midfielder and they desperately need a striker. But I suppose if he's coming next year, I suppose, yeah, cool, it's one for next year. But if I was a Chelsea fan, I'd be sitting there saying, well, what are we doing now? There's a day and a half left of this transfer window and we still ain't got a striker. That's what I'd be saying. You can't rely on Kai Havertz. What's he going to do for you this season? Nothing.
Yeah, they've got to do more. Someone just sent me a link. This is the best way of pronouncing it. I want to get this right.
Joško Gvardiol.
Gvardiol. There we go. Gvardiol. There we go. Got it now. Gvardiol. Gvardiol. I got to keep saying it and I was thinking, like, I look at Chelsea. I think they do need a midfielder. The problem Chelsea have had is they've been forced into getting rid of attackers and defenders. For like, they lost three defenders. They lost Lukaku, Werner. They want Ziyech out. Hudson-Odoi's gone. It's almost like I feel like they've been forced into not buying midfielders because they've lost their attackers and defenders. And I almost feel like they're going to go in big next year for Jude Bellingham. I think they'll go in big next year for Declan Rice. And it's almost a case of, but we need to address the attacking and defensive areas now. But yeah, it's going to be, what's this here? Chelsea offered 18 million net. Wow. Chelsea offered 18 million pounds a year to Frankie de Jong. Hang on. People are saying he'll join tomorrow. Nah. Are you guys capping? Are you guys just saying this to try and make... Is this real? Like de Jong to Chelsea? Nah. Because if this is true, I'm leaving the stream. I'm going to go and cry in a room. Dark room. Turn the lights off. I'm going to sit here and cry. Chelsea have offered 18 million... Didn't I say to you a minute ago, there's going to be a Chelsea story tomorrow? Sorry, a de Jong story tomorrow. Him being in London is no coincidence. It's no coincidence. Oh, wow. Hang on, here we go. Frank received a salary offer of 18 million net. Net. Well, it's more about gross. 18 million in recent hours. It's just happened. And oh, fuck off, man.
You're in the mud, mate. You're in the mud. You're in the mud, mate.
I might be in the mud, but you're really Arteta in. You're just lying to yourself.
Hey, just do another Glazers out video, mate. Just do another one.
yeah. So 18 million. Obviously, that's after tax, right? Let me divide that weekly. 346 grand a week. 346 grand a week.
How much is that an hour?
Oh, let's just work that out per hour. So per week, how many weeks in an hour? Did it times 7?
How many weeks in an hour? None, Terry.
Yeah. So
168 hours in a week.
Yeah, it's just over £2,000 an hour.
It's not bad, is it? It's worth getting out of bed for.
Yeah. 45 million on Jesus and 30 million on Odegaard just looks better and better. I think it does. And there's the thing is, though, it's the young players that come with those kind of price tags because you know how much they're worth. And it's that potential that you end up buying. Plus, it's about wanting a player to leave. And it doesn't matter what Arsenal fans say. City didn't want Jesus because they weren't offering him what he needed. They were fairly happy to let him go for that kind of money. If you went to City now and said, we want Phil Foden, you'd probably have to pay 150 million pounds because he's a player they desperately want. It's the business by Arsenal is amazing, but this is why you can't always judge how good players are based on the money. The deal for your club, absolutely, you're reviewing that way. But if Gabriel Jesus was part of Chelsea's team and was performed for them for 2 years, like he's performing for Arsenal right now, but he was the same age and same length on his contract, he wouldn't have been a 45 million pound player because Chelsea were like, well, we don't want to let him go. So you have to break the bank to take him away. So listen, that is a brilliant piece of business for Arsenal. And sometimes you get those gems that come along at the right time and at the right price. And Arsenal have got a few of those bad boys in this summer. There's no doubt about it whatsoever. Like it's seriously good business. Didn't Terry say the Bundesliga is a top league? Well, but the Bundesliga is a top league. It's in the top 4 leagues. There's no doubt about it. But it's easier than the Premier League. Like that's all I'm stating. By the way, it's better quality than League R. It's a better quality than Portugal. Much better quality than Scotland. Much better quality than the Ukrainian league or the Polish league or the Austrian league. But it doesn't compare to the Premier League. The top 2 or 3 teams could compete with anyone in the Prem. It's game for game. Bayern Munich could come to the Prem and win it. They are brilliant. But it's when you start dropping lower down the levels. That isn't my opinion. That comes from the players that have moved here that just say that there's so many easy games in the Bundesliga. There are none in the Premier League, in their opinion. So this comes from the direct mouths of the foreign players, not my mouth.
But that also comes from the fans as well. Like when we beat Palace and then Palace go 2-0 up against City, amount of people saying, oh, see, look, there's no easy games in the Premier League. Yeah, but then these are the same people that sit there and say, yeah, but the Bundesliga is not a bad league and it's this. And well, make your mind up, mate. Like, at the end of the day, the Premier League is the hardest league to consistently win football matches in. Yeah, the Spanish league is probably second. Yeah, and the quality in the Spanish league is a lot higher for me than the German league. Miles clear. Yeah, I actually think the French league is better than the German league. I put the German league as the 5th out of the top 5. Yeah, I'd put the Italian league in there as well. The Italian league's above the French league, but I'd say French league's 4th and then German league's 5th. That German league, Terry, I watched it during lockdown, mate. That league is woeful, man. They literally all play a high line, ball over the top, clean for on goal. Nobody can defend. Like it's true, man. Like apart from the top 2 clubs, the rest of that league are just like, if you put them in the Premier League, like let's say you took the bottom 10 teams of that German league and put them in the Premier League, how many of them do you think would do well? How many of them would consistently get good results out of the bottom 10?
Not many. No, not many, mate. Not many. Bundesliga better than League A. Bayern will always get players from the other German clubs. PSG never buy from teams below them in the league. Yeah, I mean that's a fair point. I mean they must have bought some players from other French clubs. I don't know. I don't study it.
PSG is shopping in a different market, like on pay and stuff like that, and they've got a different model to what what Bayern Munich have. Bayern Munich, they're like Man United back in the day. If there's a good player in that league that don't play for them, they're having him. Yeah, whereas PSG are just like, we have to make the signature signing every summer.
Yeah, no,
I have to do it.
You know, I agree on that. Although they're making some interesting signings this year, PSG, like profiles of players, good quality players, but like not just superstars, which I think is really important. Matt here says Neymar links to Chelsea. What are your thoughts? I don't think there's any chance of Neymar going Chelsea. Never. Not this summer anyway. Yeah, I don't see that.
They can have the Ukrainian Neymar if they want. Chelsea. Yeah, Chelsea's offered 70 million a year, 18 million a year. We've seen that there. Yeah, it's an intriguing one. I wanted to go back to Arsenal. So I know we were speaking about Arsenal when this happened. You're linked now with a potential move for Cody Gakpo, according to Melissa Reddy. Would you be happy with that as an additional player to Martinelli and Saka? Because again, I was looking at Saka the other day, and I was thinking about you. Like, he looks burnt out. He really does, and I think he really needs some support. 100%. I think he's only scored 3 goals in his last 15 league games, and I think it's 4 in the last 18. And I don't know, man. I just think that, I said this the other day, I just think that in the next year or two, if we keep playing him, he's going to be a shadow of the player he could be. Yeah, but we've seen this over the years, Terry, especially with English players. Michael Owen burnt out, Rooney burnt out. Yeah, now have massive spikes, massive highs, but then Rooney was done at 30, completely finished at 30 because he was doing all the donkey work at Man United. Like Michael Owen running to the ground at Liverpool. And like, again, his career was pretty much on the decline from 26, 27. Yeah, whereas like, you shouldn't be doing that. That's when you should be going into your peak and your prime. And I think Rashford's another one. That's a good comment. Rashford's another one. Played. He's never, ever going to reach the potential everyone thought he had. Yeah, maybe that's because he just ain't good enough, or whether it's because he's been overplayed. And like people that say, yeah, but Saka's only 20. Yeah, but he's probably about 23 in his legs. Or 24 in his legs. The amount of running, the amount of kicking, like people kick him every game. Like, and eventually it takes its toll on you, man. It will take every single game he got, like last season towards the back end. I think the last 10 games, he was down on the deck, holding his leg, holding his thigh, holding his ribs. And we're like, oh God, Saka's down, he's injured. Please get up, mate, get up. Yeah, and then eventually he'd be all right and he'd come back on, or he'd get subbed and then he'd be back for the next game. It's like he plays pretty much 90 minutes every week. Literally 90 minutes. We need someone. This Gakpo has got mad hype on the internet from football fans. I don't really know anything about him, Terry, if I'm honest. I'm not one of these that's got 3 billion monitors in my house, mate, watching every single player of every league at the weekend. So I don't really know. Me personally, I've said before, I want Pedro Neto, mate. If we're going to go and sign a winger that's comfortable on both feet, both sides of the pitch, it's him. And he fits the profile of Project Youth. He's 22. He knows the league. You don't have to relocate countries. You don't have to bring his family over, settle down, try and rent a property, all of this. He could stay and live in Wolverhampton if he wanted to. It's not a million miles from London, is it? Straight down the motorway. So I don't know. I'd rather have him than if I had the money and it was me making a decision. Now it was the one. 50 million, go and get him. Yeah, because you take a punt on some of these players and it just don't work out. We've done 72 million on Pepe, and the hype when Pepe came in was just like off the charts. Yeah, and the fact that we beat Man United to his signature as well made it even more off the charts. And now look at him; he's kind of been hounded out by our fans, really. Like, doesn't get a look in. Our fans can't stand him. So, I'd be very careful about hyping up a player that they've barely ever seen watch, barely ever watched football, like for his team. And yeah, I'd rather go for someone that we see week in, week out, that we know what they can do in this league.
What about Wilfried Zaha? Is that? I mean, he's.
Oh, don't start me on him. I swear you do this. I reckon you've got notes written there, right? Trigger him on Zaha because I know you don't rate him. Yeah,
you know,
trigger him on this. I swear you do it. It's like, right, I've got 5 today. I'm gonna get him throughout the show. But I've done 2. Right, which one should we go? Should we go Zaha next or?
No, I mean, oh, you don't rate him then.
He's like Saint Maximin. Yeah, on his day he looks a world beater, but he don't have his day often enough, man. Like, he looks great when he's in full flow, Zaha. Yeah, and he glides past people. Yeah, but for me, he spends most of his time on his backside moaning to referees. Like, not consistent enough. I want somebody that like is gonna, if we're gonna go and people to say, oh, but Pedro Neto don't score any goals. Pedro Neto plays for Wolverhampton Wanderers and they scored, I think, 74 goals in the last 2 seasons. He's been involved in over 10% of their goals. So when you look at his stats and go, oh, he's only scored 5 goals. Yeah, when you actually say it's 10% of their total goals, all of a sudden it's a bit different, isn't it? When you look at Wilfried Zaha, Crystal Palace are better than Wolves. He is their star man. But is he worth the money? I don't think so. And he's 5-6 years older than Neto. So why don't you just go and get somebody that fits the profile of what you're trying to peddle out to us as a youth project? Yeah, Zaha, good player, but he's a good player 7 times a season. And most of them times are against the bigger teams. Yeah, other times it's hit and miss with him. You don't know what you're going to get from him. Yeah, I'd rather go for somebody that's a little bit younger, that has the potential to be moulded into a world-class footballer. Because Wilfried Zaha's never been world-class. I think Neto can be.
Look, I think Neto would be a better signing than Wilfried Zaha. I don't think Wilfried Zaha would be a bad, terrible signing. But I'm also someone that's skeptical about how good he is, especially when you're coming up against multiple low blocks, when there isn't the space to run in behind. He's a brilliant counter-attacking football player. But how often are you really getting the chance to play counter? You might get 1 or 2 counter-attacks per game as a team if you're winning and if a team's pushing up against you. But look, I agree with you. I think the Pedro Neto deal, I'm going to be intrigued to see what Arsenal fans say if you don't sign Neto and or a midfielder. And then I'm going to be very intrigued to see, for instance, let's say you don't have El Neni and you don't have Thomas Partey for the game against Man United and the midfield gets overran, Casemiro is going to be there by then and Man United win. I want to see whether people say it's okay, though, because players were missing, or whether the standards have been raised to say it's a disgrace that we didn't buy extra players to cover these injuries. I'm very intrigued to see what happens in those scenarios from Arsenal fans, whether they go back to what they did last year around it's okay when these things go wrong, there'll be an excuse, or whether or not they go, actually, we had the chance, we had the means and the chance and the opportunity throughout the summer to address these problems. And that, by the way, I don't put that down to Mikel Arteta. That is down to Mikel Arteta, in my opinion, right now. If you said, oh, would you like Neto or not? I think he'll say, give me goddamn Neto. Like, the manager isn't going to refuse him. So it's more about whether the Cronkies and the owners of the football club are going to...
But they're all, Terry, he's openly admitted he's part of the transfer committee. So he should be on them saying, well, listen, we ain't got enough. Yeah, maybe he is doing that. I don't know. Yeah, we don't know, do we? But maybe he is doing that. Yeah, but at the end of the day, if he's looking at that squad and thinking that is good enough, as it stands, then we're in for a big shock this season because it ain't. And Thomas Partey is going to be missing against you lot. So is El Neni. Zinchenko, I don't think will play tomorrow, but I think he'll play against you lot. But then he's going to be up against Antony. That's the first game back after a little sprain in your knee, and you're coming up against one of the most skillful, tricky wingers out there. And yeah, that could be mad. Yeah, but
yeah, it's
I feel
sorry.
We've got what 36 hours, 48 hours, something like that, whatever it is, until the window shuts. We need to go and do some business now, mate. And I read something the other day. I say I read it. I still haven't read the whole article from Swiss Ramble on Twitter.
Yeah,
and somebody sent me it, and it was about Arsenal's financial state with FFP and stuff like that. And from what I was just reading, skimming through it, because it just went on forever. And it said that we've only got £10 million to play with this summer left.
Wow.
And that's not 10 million as in to sign one player for 10 million. As you know, 10 million can get you a player worth 50 million. Yeah, but then the outgoings, if we got Bellerin out, for example, and got a loan fee, or if we got Ainsley Maitland-Niles out and got a loan fee, that could then be added into that money. So from what I was reading, I'm going to read it when I come off of here. I'm going to read the whole thing. From what I was reading, and I may have it wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's how I read it, that we need to get players out before we can go and do any proper business now, which I just find crazy. Yeah, but it's about balancing the books for the next couple of years, because you're only allowed to lose 105 million quid, I think, over 3 years. Well, we've lost 213.
However, there is a caveat to that. The clubs will all give, and it's about, I don't think there's a set amount that's been put down, but because of COVID, the thresholds were loosened. And I think as long as you're able to sit there and go, right, we lost this amount of money because of this, but over the next 4 to 5 years, this is what we're projecting to be at. This is our income, our turnover. And the Premier League clubs are all going to be okay, because we're all going to start getting an extra 40 to 50 million a year from the new American TV deal money. Plus, I think something like 7 or 8 international deals are up for renewal, and it looks like all of the renewals are going to be more money. So the Premier League clubs can sit down with UEFA and go, this is our projected income just based on TV revenue, let alone match day and our own sponsorships. They'll be okay. But look, I said there's a comment that came through, and I want to read this. It's not a super chat, and we normally prioritize, but it says Terry putting words into Arsenal fans' mouths again. It's not about putting words into anyone's mouth. I've been talking about this. When you guys went on one of your first good runs last year, I was watching an Arsenal podcast, and one of the guys on there said, look, I think we all need to start getting behind the Cronkies more. And the protests were great, but they've turned the corner. And I was sitting in my chair, like I'm sitting, so I'm listening to it now, and I heard it, and I'm like this, and I'm commenting out loud in my office, like I'm on the show. And I'm like, hang on. Arsenal's owners haven't done a good job until you're back challenging for league titles. As in, the job isn't done until that point. You should maintain the same level of expectations, demands, the metaphorical foot on the neck until you're at that point. That doesn't mean you can't celebrate wins. That doesn't mean you can't be happy with particular pieces of business. But this is the prime example. I know that some Arsenal fans, not all, but some, will turn into those the toxic positivity fans. They'll turn into accountants, and they'll find a way of justifying not buying anybody else. However, if you miss out on top 4 by 2 points, you're telling me with Pedro Neto and Yuri Tillemans, it's less likely that just as unlikely that you'd gain an extra 2 points. In my opinion, absolutely not. If you miss out by a hair's breadth this year and you don't buy those players, or you do what Liverpool did and you buy Neto in January and then go on a great run, you think, well, would have had him all. Like, if Liverpool had Luis Diaz all season, I believe they win the league last year. The impact he had made them better. You had that from the beginning of the season, especially at the start of the campaign when Mane was in poor form. Imagine you had someone like him performing. Like, I look at what Arsenal were doing, and it's like, I'm praising you and praising you and praising you. But that doesn't mean I can't say you might be missing a trick here. And again, if your fans aren't complaining about this, that is good news for rivals, in my opinion, because you're letting your owners off the hook, and that's only
it's also good news for the club, because job done, isn't it? They've sucked everyone in again. Yeah, but I've seen a lot of people say we desperately need a CM and a right winger. Okay, but if the window shuts and we ain't got either, everyone will go, okay, well, we've just got to go with what we've got now. Like, no, it makes me laugh. And then at the end of the season, I had a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and this was before the season started. I'm lying. It was before the season started. And I said, if he don't win anything this season, do you want him sacked? Because he's like massive in Arteta in, which is funny because he was on protest for getting Wenger out. And now he's trusting the process. Yeah, and he said, no, we've got to get top 4 and we've got to win something this season. I said, okay, but then if we don't, would you want him sacked? He went, that's a tough question, because if we get to 2 cup finals and finish 5th by 1 point, how can you sack him? I said, well, because he didn't hit the target that you said that he had to hit of winning a trophy and getting top 4. It's not difficult, is it? So then it's already changing. He's like, oh, yeah, but if he got to 2 finals and lost them, then we'd give him another go. Well, no, he didn't hit the target, mate. And it's like they've already got their ready-made excuses, Terry, because they don't want to openly admit online, a lot of these people, that they don't like stuff at the club. Yeah, the fact is, this time last year, there was talk of getting the ownership out. There was talk of Daniel Ek was trending everywhere with Thierry Henry and Dennis Bergkamp with their backing. There was talks of protests and this and that. Now, fast forward a year, everyone seems to be happy. Well, what's changed in a year? What's changed? We moved up the table 3 places. Wow. Yeah, we still finished 5th. And we're still way light in midfield, which we have been for years, by the way. We went with the same midfield duo at the weekend against Fulham that we had in 2016. Why are they both even here? Yeah, we should have gone out there in the last 2 or 3 summers and strengthened that midfield. We could have gone and got Basuma. We got Partey. We could have gone and got Basuma. He was a cheap deal this summer. Yeah, that would have strengthened us. We could have gone and got Tielemans at the start of the window for the same price he is now, by the way. Yeah, in fact, if anything, the price
and it looks like Liverpool
might be more the later it goes.
And it looks like Liverpool might be in for him now. And if Liverpool go in for him at the same time as Arsenal, I don't believe he picks Arsenal over Liverpool. Like
Liverpool all day long.
I think he'll pick them. It's going to be intriguing to see how it ends. And then all it takes is 1 or 2 injuries, and suddenly it's a case of damn. Look where we are. Viewers, make sure you're smashing that like button for us today and subscribing to the channel. If you want to become a member, we're going to gift out. We hit 1,000 likes while we're live. We're going to gift out another 10 free memberships to you to get that done. Super chat here says Chelsea set to sign. I did pronounce his name right earlier. Now I can't remember how to do it again. I'm gonna get this man here to say it.
Gvardiol.
Gvardiol.
Gvardiol. There we go. I'm terrible. I'm terrible. For 90 million euros, the defense will be set for 10 years. Next season, we need to sign a midfielder and
you know what's funny about that comment? I remember when Man United signed Luke Shaw for 32 million. Oh, but we're going to have him for 10 years. It works out 3.2 million a year. Well, didn't it?
Yeah, true.
And he's been there nearly 10 years as well.
Any information on? I think his name is pronounced Vouts or Voots Phase, the replacement for Fana. The last I saw Fabrizio tweet about him, and I think Fabrizio said that it's nearly done, or he's pretty much done. I think I saw that, my friend. The fact. I think fans saying Arsenal was signing City rejects are rubbish. Players just didn't fit some clubs and show their best football at others. De Bruyne and Salah were Chelsea rejects and now are world class. Yeah, you haven't signed Chelsea.
Totally different. Totally different.
Well, they're not different. What do you mean?
That is completely different. That's so different. It's mad.
But I don't think. But Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus are not Chelsea rejects.
Yeah, but De Bruyne and Salah were not Chelsea rejects then.
Sorry, no, they're not City rejects. No, I mean, I don't think they. I don't think. See, De Bruyne most certainly wasn't a reject. De Bruyne wanted to play first team football, and Chelsea said at the time you're not ready for it. So he went and got first team football at a smaller club in the Leicester League and built himself up. To a degree, I think that's what Mo Salah did as well. Chelsea's biggest problem at that stage under Roman was that they didn't ever really give young players time. If you weren't ready at that point in time to perform, you were just left on the bench.
Players. Jose was the manager, wasn't he?
He was at that point.
Time. Yeah, and the thing is, it's funny because they beat us 6-0 on Wenger's 1000th game, and Mohamed Salah scored in that game against us. Yeah, and then he went.
Must have been one of his only goals.
Yeah, and then he went to Italy, smashed it, and now he's come back. I think the point he was trying to make is Zinchenko and Gabriel Jesus are going to become world class.
Well,
who knows? Who knows?
If Gabriel Jesus keeps playing like this week in, week out, then that's world class level for me. Other than Martin,
it depends what your class is world class, Terry. Because so far he's played 4 games and he scored in one of them.
Yeah, I think performance wise and everything, I think you've got to take into account. I think he's been excellent.
I think he's been great. He's comfortably one of our best.
What I mean is, if his performances are like this for 90% of games he plays in, including big matches, that's world class level. But I think
one thing that worries me though is against Fulham, he wasn't in the box. I think he was in the box once. He had 1 shot. Other than that, he was out on the left wing, and I'm like, mate, get in the box. Yeah, and that's probably why we struggled, because there was no one in the box. And it's like when he scored the 2 goals the other week, he was in the box. He was having shot after shot after shot. Against Fulham, he was barely in the box. And it's like, you know, people said at the start of the season, oh, he's going to bag 25 goals, 20 goals, this and that. I said he'll get 15 to 18 goals. Yeah, I'm sticking with that from what I've seen so far. He's played 4 games. He scored in 1 of them. But his performances have been good, very good. Yeah, but I want to see him in the box. Get in the box, man.
I'll get that.
In the score.
Other than Martin Odegaard and KDB, which AMs are producing in the Premier League?
Maddison.
Bruno. Bruno's been great last 2 games. Scored
and Maddison's team at bottom of the table, and even he's still producing.
Yeah, true. At the end
he's apparently not good enough, mate. He's not good enough for Arsenal.
At the end of the day, Lee's negativity sunk the Titanic. Real talk.
Cheers for the money, mate.
Hazer here says it's only 3 games, yet when Arsenal lose their first 3 last year, it's sackable offence. It matters 3 games in because Spurs were top for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but you've totally answered your own question, mate. I swear some people don't, like, when they're writing, they don't think about what they're writing. It's like that guy earlier who said what PSG don't sign players from that league. They signed Mbappe. Like, I swear people don't think when they're right. Last season, like this season, I'm saying, yeah, it's only 3 games. Well, it is. Well, it's actually now 4 games. Yeah, and this is why I'm saying it's only 4 games. Last season, when we lost 3 games, it wasn't just about losing 3 games, was it? Yeah, it was about the manager not being good enough in the first place, getting a job, finishing 8th and 8th, yeah, and then losing the first 3 games of the season in the new season after doing 150 million quid. So you've just said Tottenham were top after 3 games. Yeah, and then what happened? You've answered your own question, bro.
I get that. But ladies and gentlemen, don't worry. I will have Lee sitting on this show by January saying I'm Arteta in. Don't you worry about that.
No, you won't.
It's gonna happen.
You can't afford that, Terry.
That might be true. Hang on a minute.
I will say this though. If we're in a title race in the last month of the season, i.e. May, and we're 3 to 6 points off of Man City or Liverpool, whoever's top, I will say, yeah, actually, I'm going to trust him now because he's got us in a title race. That's all I want. And I don't see how people see that that's negative.
No.
Yeah, these people are happy coming 4th and 5th and 8th. Like, it baffles me, man. I want to see a title. I've waited 18 years, 19 years now. Yeah, we smashed the stadium down for this. Like, getting a title race, we've done the dough. We're spending money. Yeah, but unfortunately, we're spending it in the wrong areas and a lot of money on the wrong players. So we're not going to be in a title race.
I get your point. I think that Arsenal have improved. To see how they kind of move on from that point. There was something else I wanted to speak to you about, and it's completely gone. A few people are asking, is the De Jong news real? I mean, look, Gerard Romero has reported it, so it's up to you whether you want to believe Gerard Romero or not. I think
saying it was a fake tweet.
Are they?
Did you not check the source, Terry?
Schoolboy. All the big aggregators have shared it. As in, yeah, I mean, all the big aggregators have shared it. So yeah, I mean, unless I haven't seen for him come out and say he hasn't come out and clarified it or anything along those lines. So yeah, I don't know. But
if you go to his Twitter account,
no, he doesn't tweet it. He says it. He said it on Twitch. People were saying he said it on Twitch, which is what it is. But we'll see. I mean, most of the aggregators have shared it. So yeah, it's out there in relation to that. But look, I felt there was a sting in the tower of that one all along. So we'll see what sort of happens and stuff like that. But yeah, it's an intriguing one to say the least. If something I was going to speak about, someone made a comment and I stupidly didn't star it. And you know when you read something, that's a good point, and then you forget what it is, but it's now bothering me because I wanted to ask you about it, but there we go. But yeah, listen, I think Arsenal's start to the season has been good. I think Arsenal fans have every right to be happy. The over celebrating thing was weird because I didn't think they did over celebrate. I just thought they were happy with what they were doing. But I still think more pressure's got to be put against your owners and how they run things to try and take you to that kind of next level, as it were. I think it's as simple and as straightforward as that. There's no message.
The problem you have though, Terry, is people are happy if we finish 4th. Yeah, but you've got 4 of the first team players coming out in the summer saying 4th in the Europa League is what we're going for. So now the narrative within the whole fan base, because 4 of our first team players have said that, is we're gonna go for 4th in the Europa League. How about say we're going for the title? How about say that? How about do that? But unfortunately, when we've seen so many years of top four, and you get all these TV companies like Sky and BT building up the top 4 race. How about have a title race? Yeah, put me in a title. Put me in a title race. Yeah, I'm sick of top 4. What we're going to do when we get in the Champions League, get pumped all around Europe again? Because the last time we were in it, the last game we played in it, we lost 5-1 for the 3rd time in a row to the same team. Yeah, and now we're a lot worse with a lot worse manager. So what we're going to do this time? Like, do you know what I'm saying? Wenger, as much as I didn't rate him, yeah, if he was our manager last season, we would have got top 4. And Pepe would be flourishing. Guendouzi would still be here. Aubameyang would still be bagging. Yeah, and then he would have put players around that. Yeah, but would he have got us in a title race? No, because he weren't interested in a title race towards the end. Yeah, and that's stayed with the football club. So now the majority of fans have been hoodwinked into thinking fourth is a trophy. He even said it was. He said it's bigger than the FA Cup. So when that is the thing that's being pushed out by Sky, by BT, by Arsene Wenger all them years ago, everyone talks about top four, top four. Why is it only Liverpool and Man City that talk about title? Why? Because they're actually trying to go for a title. Nobody else is. Man United ain't. Tottenham ain't. Chelsea ain't. Chelsea fans will be happy with top four this season. That's how far they're falling, by the way. Yeah, they're happy if they finish top four. Yes, they've gone out and done a lot of money on that player, and they've done someone for Fofana and Sterling and stuff like that. But if this was Abramovich's Chelsea, they would have gone out and got new midfielders this summer.
Well, yeah,
and they'd be trying to actively get themselves in the title charge. And if like I said, Chelsea haven't won a league for what, 5 years? All of a sudden that'd be 10. Yeah, then it's 15. Then they're the banter club, right? And it's like the only clubs that are actively trying to win the title are Man City and Liverpool. Nobody else is bothered because they're just happy getting fourth or third.
Well, I think that's that. Again, you look at what Chelsea are doing, and you can clearly see spending money to put themselves onto another level, and that's why I think I've always said this to people, like me and you don't disagree with the standards that our club should hold. I just think that it's okay to celebrate the step changes in between, where you're reserving your right to go. I'm not celebrating until we've achieved it, which I disagree with, but I respect. And it's kind of like
I've seen the German core, the British core. Like I've seen all of these overhauls before. I've seen a youth project before. Like I've said a million times before. Yeah, everyone bangs on about Project Youth at Arsenal. Oh, it's the youngest squad in the league. We had a younger squad in 2008, 2009. But nobody's banged on about that in 2008 and 2009, have they? Nobody wants to talk about that now either. That team, by the way, got to a Champions League semi-final and got pumped by you lot, Ronaldo and Rooney in that. Sky even made an advert out of the goal and just took the ball away. Do you remember that ad? Yeah, and it's like that squad we had, was younger than the squad we have now. So why can't I demand better? But now we have to be, oh no, it takes time. Well, it didn't take time then, did it? Because we were in a Champions League semi. Yes, we didn't win it, but again, nobody was sitting there with the excuse of, oh, it's a young squad. Nobody ever said that back then. Yeah, but now it's an excuse to cover up for the club's failings. Yeah, and for the manager's failings and shortcomings. You know, it's as soon as we lose, but it's a young squad. That's all you ever hear, Terry. I'm sick of it. Go and get a winning squad. And yes, we've started well. Yes, we've done great in the 4 games, but
I think
Terry,
you're developing
to go.
No, I get that, and I think you're developing. I think you're developing a winning squad and a winning team. Oral Campbell here says, "What's the difference between winning your last 4 games and losing winning your first 4 games and losing your last 4 games?" I think Arsenal need to be very careful, is what Oral Campbell has got to say here.
People have got short memories. Last season, we lost them games, and Tottenham finished above us, and people sit there and say Tottenham are rubbish. They just got Kane and Son up front. Well, why don't we go and get a Kane and Son then? Yeah, why can't we do that? Yeah, because we ain't that great. Yeah, but we've got now Jesus up front. What's the difference?
I get that. Question I got for you, because we won't speak beforehand. How do you think it's going to play out between Man United and Arsenal this weekend?
Interesting, isn't it? I think we'll beat Leicester. I think we'll be the final now in Gerrard's managerial career at Villa when we beat them tomorrow. See, I'm positive. Clip it. I think we'll beat them. I think you'll beat Leicester. We'll be going in on the back of 5 straight wins. You'll be on the back of 3 straight wins. Your record signing will be probably not playing. I don't think you're starting. I think he'll be coming off the bench, but I do think he will play at some point. Casemiro will have a full start under his belt because he'll start tomorrow. And we don't tend to do very well against you at Old Trafford, do we? 1 win in 14 years in the league. So it's not going to be easy. And I think that was an Aubameyang penalty. So it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be interesting. I was just speaking to Rance about it as well, because you've got the left back that you've got now. He looks a proper player. He looks decent. And he's going to be up against Saka, who's not had a great start to the season. So that's going to be a really good battle watching that. And then if we put Zinchenko in midfield with with Xhaka, then we'll have Tierney up against Antony if he plays, which is going to be interesting as well, because I like Tierney, but he was shocking the other day against Fulham. He didn't look anywhere near ready. So that's going to be interesting. But your midfield for that game is probably going to be what? Fred, Casemiro, and Eriksen.
No, it depends if we go 4-3-3 yet or not. I don't think we will. I mean, 4-3-3 and 4-2-3-1 are so you can play both at the same time, one in attack and one in defense. Bruno will start the game. Bruno's is impressed the manager, the way he speaks about him, the fact that certain people have been dropped and kicked out and his performances have kept him in, I think tells you something. But I think Casemiro
will play him as a false nine, Bruno.
They might do. I think it will be Rashford or Martial, depending on Martial's injury. Will start centrally. We'll see who plays tomorrow night. That'll give us more of a key. Thursday night. But I feel like Casemiro will start. Fred may, again, it depends on who starts this game against Leicester. But Casemiro will start. I actually think I've got a feeling he might throw Antony straight into that game. Depends how much preseason Antony's had. Maybe Antony coming off the bench, 30 minutes to go, up against tired legs, could be something. But I'm intrigued about the game, and I want to see how we perform against Leicester before I really kind of give my opinions on it. But I think what's really interesting for me is what I call Bruno derangement syndrome. That's kind of yeah, Bruno derangement syndrome. And
what's that even mean?
Okay, but it's a real thing. Like Bruno's starting to play very well again. He's excellent against Liverpool, and he led and he worked so hard against Southampton. He got us the win. Now, does he make mistakes? He absolutely does. But I'll tell you what Bruno derangement syndrome is, and people do it and they're not aware they do it. We are all programmed now for some weird reason, whether you like him or dislike him, you are looking for his mistakes. Everybody is honed in on every cross that he attempts that a defender cuts out. Hero ball shouldn't have done it. Every time a pass on a counter attack gets intercepted or he overhits it or it doesn't work out. See, I told you he's terrible at what he does. I did a little experiment. I want to ask people to do it and put their findings out honestly. Watch players in similar roles that you rate, and just every time a cross, a pass, a through ball, a decision doesn't come off for the team, just put a tally chart down. Or if you really want to annoy people, just shout out like a random, like a safe word. Just shout out microwave, right? Something weird like that. When you do that, you'll realize, Jesus, they're all doing it about the same amount that Bruno does. It's just that Bruno's get overly criticized. I was watching.
You know why that is?
I watched the first half when City were losing to Palace. KDB lost the ball in that first half 15 times, and he had 2 or 3 chances to slip people in, and his pass was underhit, overhit. He does that in a lot of games. By the way, he delivers a lot as well. KDB is one of the best midfielders the Premier League has ever had, and I'm not denying it. But Bruno Fernandes is starting to play well in this system. He's starting to get back to the best that we used to see of him. And if and when he can start scoring those goals again, and with extra creativity from Antony, that could happen, people are going to see. But Bruno derangement syndrome is 100% real.
Do you know why people do that with him? Because the way your fan base, or a part of your fan base, hype this guy up like he's the second coming of Eric Cantona or something. Like, it's mad. Yeah. So then when people sit and watch the games, and I sit and watch the games, yeah, I watch pretty much all the Premier League games. And when I sit and watch him, I just think, you ain't all that, are you, mate? I really don't see it. Yeah. And then he does things that you just think, well, that was dumb. Yeah, he'll score. Yeah, but this is where football, for me, Terry, like, a lot of people, like, so at the weekend, yeah, you see the Arsenal game. Saka weren't great at all. Oh, but he got an assist, and what? So one pass in a game, and that's all forgotten. The rest of it, yeah. And this is where football is at the moment. That it's all about stats and analytics, and so I swear these people sit there with spreadsheets and compasses and pie charts out and like everything on match day. Like, why don't you just watch the game? Yeah, before stats were a thing, we were watching football. I didn't need stats to see that Bergkamp was a top player. I didn't need stats to see that Cantona was a top player. Yeah, I don't know how many XG or XA Bergkamp had in a game because I didn't care. I've got my eyes. I'm going to watch it. When I watch Bruno, there's things he does where I think, well, that was brilliant. That was so good. Yeah, but most of the time I'm just left thinking, well, you ain't that great, are you, mate? Why do your fans hype you so much?
Yeah.
Like, he ain't that great. But he'll start with the goals and the assists where people then go, oh, but look at the goals he scored.
I understand that. I understand that take. I do get it. And eye test is very important, but eye test is preference. So if just because you don't, and that's why, and I respect the preference side of things. I prefer to watch in their pomps the way Ronaldo played. I preferred what I liked. I love what Messi did, but I preferred Ronaldo, the directness of the way he used to dribble versus the intricacy and additional skill that Messi had. As an eye test, I preferred it. I might like listening to Oasis. You might like listening to Blur, right? When I use that as Britpop because we're both from that age group and era. That doesn't mean one's bad and one is good. It's a preference thing. What I'm saying when it comes to Bruno is you could sit there. What I'd love to do is this experiment. I think the Football Terrace has got to do this. You need to get like 2 or 3 Bruno haters and 2 or 3 people that like Bruno, and you sit them down over a weekend and watch a Man United game, and you kind of film it as an experiment. And every time Bruno makes a mistake, he overhit that pass. He should have squared it left. He did it. There was a counter attack we had at the weekend, and he should have played Sancho in earlier, and he delayed it. And then when he passed, the pass was fine. But by then, the centre-back had stopped his run and was able to intercept it. That's a mistake from him. My point is do that and then watch. And you might have to do this over 2 or 3 game period to get a proper pull. But then you watch the other teams play with players that go, yeah, but he's clear of him. And then but you watch it all together so you can call it out and go, see, that mistake you said that Bruno only makes, I've just seen Joe Bloggs make it 3 times in the game, but I'm watching you and you haven't reacted to it once. That's what I mean by the derangement syndrome. When people say I don't rate him, they look for those mistakes. I look for those mistakes. I'm actually nervous when Bruno plays. Every time something doesn't come off, I'm like, he's getting clipped. He's going to get cooked. That applies more pressure on him. And lots of players go through this. Some players get away with it. It's only been recently that Trent Alexander-Arnold has really started to be called out for his defensive mistakes. And I do think that's because people have got sick and tired of hearing the weirdest excuses made for his defensive errors. But do you know what's now happening? Now everybody's calling it out, and every mistake he makes is being overanalyzed, over-scrutinized. And then what you get in Liverpool fans do is go, right, well, I'm going to find all the same mistakes in your defenders. And it's become a bit farcical because nearly all defenders in nearly every game make mistakes. It's just whether or not you get punished at the end.
Every player misplaces a pass. Every player misses an open goal.
And that's what
Salah
I mean.
missed one the other day.
I feel like when it comes to Bruno Fernandes, the level of scrutiny on everything he does is overhyped. You've got some players like KDB, and these are statistically provable, will cross the ball into the box every bit as much per game as Bruno Fernandes from similar areas as well. And everyone says, look at that. Look at him attempting to try and break lines and put players in. Bruno does the same thing, and he gets called. He's called a hit an inshallah merchant, or like a hero ball merchant. And it's like, so you're literally watching 2 players do the same thing for their team.
How are you comparing De Bruyne and Fernandes, by the way?
No, I'm talking.
That's like chalk and cheese.
No, but it isn't. But you're now complicit in Bruno derangement syndrome. I'm not because I'm not comparing the 2 players. You've got to stop doing that. What I'm saying is this: if you've got one attacking midfield player, part of his role is to drift into wide positions, and when the opportunity arises, cross the ball into the box. You can't praise one for doing that. And when the other, by instruction, drifts into the wide areas, plays the relevant triangles with their teammates, and then crosses the ball into the box, which is part of the instruction, we then can't call one hero balls and the other part of a system.
No, but if one of them affects the game a hell of a lot more than the other person affects the game in different areas of the game, different spaces of the pitch, and actively drags his team to victory. Well,
Bruno Fernandes has on many occasions helped Man United, created chances, scored goals, created opportunities.
So the pre-come assist
help. No, just but in terms of, but they actually looked at this in terms. They broke this down and they said they removed assists, chance created, and goal scored, and just looked at active involvements in your team's goals. So you're actively involved in the moves, and there wasn't a single player in the Premier League that was involved in more than Bruno Fernandes. Now, there's no doubt he dropped off.
Did he get a trophy for that?
No, but that isn't. But we're not arguing whether he wins more trophies or not than somebody. We're talking about, and this is what I mean by Bruno derangement syndrome. We're talking about his actions in individual games, not his over. I wouldn't. That's why one of the reasons why I wouldn't call him like world class.
Okay, so you're saying that he was actively involved.
Let me finish the point. Right.
Go on.
I'm not saying like he deserves to be put into some GOAT category because he hasn't won those trophies. My point around the derangement syndrome is he gets scrutinized in games for doing the same thing as other people who get praised for doing the exact same things. That's weird. That is weird.
They're not doing the exact same things. That's my point, Terry.
Why not?
Bruno will do what Kevin De Bruyne does in one instance, get the ball and cross it. Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne can pick up the ball on the halfway line, power straight through a 3-man midfield and slap it top bins. When has Bruno ever done that? And we see him do that against Chelsea last season. We see score 4 against Wolves in one game, right? KDB. We see him actively drag his team towards titles.
In your opinion,
so what I'm saying is just because he crosses the ball like De Bruyne across the ball
but you're not listening to my point here.
No, I am listening, but if that's only what he's doing, and De Bruyne's doing that, and other things.
Lee, but this is Lee. You've actively proved the derangement syndrome. You've actively proved it because what you've done is I've given you a specific example about one thing. So this is what you've done. You've taken me saying, why is one player allowed to cross the ball into the box and it be called brilliant and the other's called hero ball? Your answer is, well, he doesn't do all the other things as good as Bruno, KDB. By that logic, no midfielder does everything as good as KDB, so everybody's hero balling it.
No, you're saying hero ball. Well, I haven't said hero ball. What I'm saying is, let me answer the question. Right?
So go back and answer the question.
As good as KDB. Guess what? Most footballers know their limitations, mate. Yeah, Kevin De Bruyne is clear in midfield in this league.
That isn't my point. Right? That isn't the point.
No. So let me finish.
Answer the question.
Well, let me answer it then. So you're saying nobody can do it like KDB. Okay, but Bruno thinks he's better than him. That's why he tries to do everything on the pitch, and half of it don't ever come off.
But that's nonsense. If it doesn't come off, then why has he created as many goals since he's been in the Premier League as KDB? Why are his crosses as successful if he doesn't do it?
Show me the stats on this then, Terry, because you're the stats guy. You're saying since he's been in the Premier League, he has his crossing is as accurate as Kevin De Bruyne's in terms of leading to goals. It's now similar. Well, which one is it?
Well, I'll go and look, but let's just go and have a little look here.
My point is, Terry, one of them will cross a ball in, yeah, and it'll land on the back stick for a tap in. The other one will cross a ball in, and it will go nowhere. Yeah, yes, Kevin De Bruyne will do the same. I watched him in that game at the weekend. I thought he was shocking. That was one of the worst performances I've seen from him in a long time. Yeah, but in the second half, he came out, even though he weren't great, he still affected the game. And the problem you have with Bruno is, if Bruno runs around a lot, yeah, and he'll press a lot and he never stops running. Yeah, but the fact and reality is, Terry, yeah, that guy will do nothing in a football match at all. Yeah, and everyone will clip him and say, oh, he's crap, he's this and that. The reason they do that is because half of your fan base online have made out he's one of the greatest players ever. The way they talk about him. We have it with Saka.
I get that. If
Arsenal fans didn't build Saka like he was Ronaldinho, I wouldn't hold him to Ronaldinho standards.
You've just proven Bruno derangement syndrome. How is it Bruno's fault that a bunch of people online say things about him?
Well, it ain't, is it? But at the end of the day, if we all know these footballers are reading what's online, this guy thinks he's something better than he is. Yeah, because if he didn't, he'd keep it a lot more simple and actually start playing better. Yeah, because every time I watch him, I just think like pretty much 75% of the time I watch that guy, I think you ain't all that, mate. Yeah, and then he'll do something great. He'll score a great free kick, or he'll score a goal where he's just put it in the bottom corner, nice cool finish. When I watch Kevin De Bruyne play, 75% of the time, I'm thinking, wow, you're amazing, mate. Yeah, and that is the difference. So did compare Kevin De Bruyne and him.
No, I compared an action. And I will compare them as players as well. And people can think KDB is better.
You also mentioned that Bruno is actively affecting the games and a lot of your goals, even if he ain't getting the assist. Yeah, yes. and he's actively involved in the chance creation, whether it be him or indirectly via him being a pass behind. Yeah, how is that even a thing? Yeah, that is basically like, okay, well, the goalkeeper kicked it out, passed it to the right back passed it to Bruno passed it to the right winger, and then the right winger crossed it and the striker scored. Well, does the goalkeeper get a pre assist then? He affected the game, didn't he?
You're diminishing the statistic. The point is this.
You're
doing it. I'm not talking about. I didn't mention the word pre-assist. You're doing exactly what people.
No, but you said he's actively involved in a lot of our chance creation.
But it's true.
What types of chances are they?
Let me answer it. Let me answer this for you. So your point is, you're doing it again. You're diminishing Bruno's involvements. You'll turn around and say he isn't as active in goals as other people. You'll show you the facts that he is, and you go, yeah, but all he did was like play a couple of simple passes in the build up to a goal. But then if he isn't doing that, if he isn't involved in the active play in the build up, you're saying, well, he isn't doing whatever he does. you take it away. You say, well, it's just simple passes, they don't count. If he wasn't involved in the build-up, you say that he's invisible. Whatever Bruno does,
No, Terry, you don't have to be involved in a goal.
He scores goals. This is my point. He scores goals. He's a stat padder. He creates chances. Assists and stats don't mean anything. He's involved in the build-up, but not getting the goals and assists. And people say,
no, Terry. Why don't you just? Why don't you?
No. You're literally.
Hang on. I want to do the stats. Doesn't mean you've had a bad game, does it?
But I didn't say that. That isn't what I've said. What I'm saying to you is everything you ask for from Bruno. What did he do this? I proved to you he's done it, and you go, yeah, but why does that count?
No, but you haven't proved anything. I'm still waiting for the stats.
Oh, okay, stat here. So.
Hang on,
Lee. I'm going to do it. So, since he's been in the Premier League, they both on average lose the ball. KDB loses possession 20.4 times per game. Bruno Fernandes is average 20 to 21 times. So, pretty much borderline the same. Yeah. Okay. Goals per match, Bruno Fernandes 0.6, KDB 0.2. Penalty goals, 0.3. This is not that close. 0.3 penalty goals to Bruno. 0.2 penalty goals to KDB in that time. Okay. Chances created per game. Bruno Fernandes 3.2, KDB 3.6. Crosses attempted per game. Bruno Fernandes 4.9, KDB 6.6. Accuracy of crosses, so finding a fellow opponent. Bruno Fernandes 24% accuracy, KDB 26% accuracy. The difference.
Now work that out over. That's per. Say that again. That last stat.
That's per 90.
So per 90, 26. So now that's 0.2. No, sorry, 2%. Now times that over a whole season. His light year's gone, mate.
What do you mean by that?
24 and 26, you said, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is that percent or actual crosses?
So that makes, if we actually look at actual
read the stat again for that last stat you read. What was the actual
26% are accurate, right? So the difference is
26%. So 2% every game more over a whole season is miles better, isn't it?
It isn't. That means out of 100, so in a season on average, KDB attempts 146 crosses over the last, on average, 146 crosses per game in the last 3 years. So we'll minus 26% from that. That means 37 of his crosses were met by somebody on average. Bruno Fernandes is on average attempting 136 per season. You minus 24% of that. So that is 33. So Bruno Fernandes over the course of KDB over the course of a season will find his fellow teammates 4 more times only than Bruno. Yeah. 4 more times in a season.
And all 4 of them end up in the back of the net because they're accurate crosses. Now tell me how accurate. Now tell me.
Again, you're moving the goalposts.
No, I'm not. No, let me finish, Terry. Let me finish, right?
How is it Bruno's fault?
Bruno
puts a cross in.
Wait, and this is where stats are so misleading at times as well, right? And listen, to be fair, them stats are very similar, and I'll give you that. Well done. I'm in the mud, right? But what I'm trying to say to you is stats should not be the benchmark, which is what I said at the very beginning. I don't need stats to see Bergkamp's a good player, etc., etc. Yeah,
I understand.
Now, what I'm saying is if you're using stats like that, yeah, to say, okay, cool, accurate crosses into the box, okay, cool. How many players did the player have around him when Bruno crossed it? How many players did the player that was receiving the ball have around it? Was he stretching and he skimmed off?
Lee.
Now tell me how good the chances are. You're proving chances created, crosses created.
Lee, and you're proving my point again. You're proving my point again, though. This is what I would say. You've done it again. You've said, show me the stats that prove he's as good at crossing the ball. I show you the stats, and then the goalpost gets moved again. I don't care what people think of Bruno, but you've got to set a standard.
You just spent 20 minutes going.
No. I care about the moving of the goalpost.
You even made up a word for it.
No, but that's my point. It's derangement syndrome, because you'll make a point and say there's no way he crosses the ball as well as KDB. Show me the stats. Hang on. But no. Let me finish. You say, show me the stats that prove it. We show the stats that prove it. And then you go, yeah, but what about how many players are in the box and how many goals were scored from it? That's fine. Say that from the beginning. But all anybody does with Bruno is they find a reason to criticize him. That point gets proven wrong with video footage, statistics, and debate.
Right, and then the goalpost gets moved. Bruno debate. Stats are irrelevant. Stats are pointless. I don't need stats to see if they're a good player. I said that right at the very start.
They're not irrelevant. No, do you know why stats aren't irrelevant? Because when people say
it proves that Bruno's up there with KDB for you.
No, that isn't what I said. I did not say that. What I literally said, and this is my point, is that someone crosses the ball into the box like KDB because he's respected gets called brilliant. Some players cross the ball and they're called hero merchants. And for me, it's a case of why is the goalpost always moved when it comes to Bruno Fernandes? And there are other players that are like him, that no matter what they do, it simply ain't good enough. And I asked this the other day when it comes to Antony, and I got a lot of vague answers. I said, what does Antony need to do? Be specific to warrant the £85 million price tag. And a lot of people's answers were, well, he just needs to be really consistent as a Man United player. I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, well, I don't know. I'm like, well, you know why you don't want to answer it? Because if you give specificity ahead of time, you then can't criticize him in the future. If somebody says he's got to have GA above 25 and I don't know, like be a consistent performer, creating lots of chances, a driving force, not letting his team down, only losing the ball X amount of times per game, whatever it is someone's opinion is. If you set that out ahead of time, it's hard to criticize afterwards. And this is what people do with Bruno. You don't need to rate him. You don't need to think he's good. That isn't what bothers me. But it's when I hear people say, and they did it with the possession loss stats. Have you seen he loses the ball 20 times per game? That is outrageous. No one else does that. And then you list that multiple high level.
Neymar and KDB lose the ball more than any players on the planet.
But exactly my point. So my point is, then why are Bruno's focus on? Then someone go, yeah, but he'll lose it stupidly.
Because the fact that he's even in this conversation with KDB
but that doesn't matter.
Scandalous.
But this is what it doesn't matter, because then people will say, but he loses it in silly situations. You then show people multiple times those players lose it in silly situations. Why are you not criticizing them in the same way? It never.
Terry, people have put Bruno on a pedestal that highly within your fan base that he is seen as this great world-class.
What's that got to do with the facts?
Okay,
what's that got to do with the facts?
So when you're now putting him in a bracket with KDB, which you said you weren't comparing them, but you did, hence why he came into the conversation, right? Because he's seen as this great player and he's seen as this rubbish player. Yeah, and you've put the stats together, cool. Yeah, now go and watch him every week. Yeah, the stats, like somebody said in the chat, I said right at the beginning, stats are irrelevant. Yeah, like, oh, cross it. Okay, then I said, cool, show me the crossing. Yeah, and to be fair, I didn't expect it to be that close. Yeah, but there you go. At the same time, when you're looking at the two players and you have compared them, it's chalk and cheese. Kevin De Bruyne, yeah, somebody's put it there, Jacob, 30-year anniversary of the Premier League, and he's seen as one of the greatest players to play in it. Bruno's name didn't even get mentioned. Yeah, but your fan base
that's fair.
Bruno
but that's
up
not,
there
but
like that. So he's going to get
nothing to do with what I'm talking about. But Lee, that's got nothing to do with it. That's got nothing to do with it.
When he gives the ball away, yeah, when he gives the ball away, yeah, and Kevin De Bruyne gives the ball away, yeah, Kevin De Bruyne's one of the best midfielders I've seen in this league. Yeah, but Kevin De Bruyne actively affects a football match with goals, assists, and off the ball stuff, on the ball stuff that Bruno can't even fucking imagine doing, mate. Yeah, and this is what I was saying to you when you were shouting, Lee, right? Just because you haven't scored a goal or you haven't got an assist doesn't mean you have not had a good game.
And there's nothing
just because you've got a goal or an assist doesn't mean you've had a good game.
But you're not listening. You're not listening. I don't care about that stuff. That isn't what I'm talking about.
You've just spent 20 minutes caring about it, Terry.
No. What you're saying, that isn't what I care about. You keep talking about things I'm not talking about. I'm saying this. It is absolutely fair for you to think KDB is clear of Bruno. But why is it when Bruno attempts a cross, which every other midfielder is... Let's just bring it back to what I said before. Is KDB clear of all other attacking midfielders in the league, in your opinion?
Say that again.
Is KDB clear of all other attacking midfielders in the league?
Yeah.
So
I think he's the best attacking midfielder in the league.
So we should criticize all of them for attempting crosses.
Yeah, but that's just a dumb argument.
It's not, but that's my point. It doesn't matter.
The point is Kevin De Bruyne knows what he can and can't do, and he plays to his strengths. So Bruno thinks he's better than he is and does dumb shit. Terry.
So that's what it is, because you have a preconceived idea that Bruno.
No, I've watched Bruno since he's come to this league. I've seen the hype he gets, and every time I watch him, I think, why?
But Lee, you've answered my point again. You've proven it. You have a preconceived idea that Bruno thinks he's better than KDB. Therefore, everything Bruno does, you instantly put it down, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. You look at it for a negative light.
Terry, I watch Man United, and I think, like, show me something.
And that was the original. But he does. You just ignore it. You're just not seeing it. If he doesn't do anything, why is he one of the highest chance creators in the league then?
Now show me what types of chances there, because we had this with Mesut Ozil.
You must be watching it.
Chances. How many of them are actually on the play? How many of them are...
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, Bruno derangement syndrome is so real. It is. I'm not rattled. I'm laughing because you literally prove everything I say every single time.
Chance created stats are a load of garbage. I pass the ball to you on halfway, you shoot. I've created a chance. Yeah.
Right.
Now show me you've put them on a plate, big created chances, and that striker didn't finish his dinner. Yeah, because Mesut Ozil used to get this all the time. Oh, he creates it. Oh, he's the assist king. Really? Really? Oh, but he creates so many chances. Last season, Odegaard. Oh, he created so many chances. Yeah, guess what? He created the same amount of big chances as Kulusevski, who played from February till May.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ericsson played for Brentford for 5 months. Yeah, with a pacemaker, and created one big chance less than Martin Odegaard. So when people say chances created, we used to get it with Mesut Ozil. I remember there was a chance created that he did when Welbeck was playing for us, and it was against Everton. It went down as a chance created. Danny Welbeck was stretching off balance and got his knee to it, and it went wide. That's a chance created. Yeah, chance created stats are a load of garbage, mate. Yeah?
It should be
show me big created chances. Show me what types of chances they are. Show me how many players are around the player that is having the chance created for him. Show me whether he's on balance, whether he's on his strong foot, whether he's on his weak foot, whether he's jumping for the header, whether he's on a standing for a header. Yeah. Now we can talk about chances created.
I agree with you. So on big chances created in the Premier League since Bruno Fernandes arrived, KDB has created 42. Bruno Fernandes has created 42.
Yeah. Okay.
KDB
now go back to what I just said. Now go back to what I just said.
They're the big chances created. They're the big chances created you mentioned.
So now what? You didn't listen to what I said. I said, now show me the big chances created. They're level. Now go and show me, how many players were around the player that they put that ball into? What position was that player in? Was he on his strong foot? Did he have 3 players around him? Was he off balance when he took the shot?
What you're saying is now what you're doing to Bruno is KDB is
garbage.
But what about KDB? Tell me about KDB's big chances created. Were they all like perfect?
Exactly
and
the
Bruno's
same applies.
But this again, and I've watched those. Bruno Fernandes, the only player in the Premier League to create more big chances than Bruno in the last 2.5 years has been KDB by 3, and he's clear of everybody else barring Trent Alexander-Arnold. And this is my point. My eye test has shown me that Bruno has created so many chances, but whenever it's Bruno, people find a reason to go, no, it doesn't count. But KDB does the same things, and it's all amazing and brilliant. It's derangement syndrome, 110%.
No, what I'm saying is, show me the big chances he's created, the chances he's created. Show me who he's put him on the plate for. Yeah, show me how many players are around that guy that is taking the strike from the chance created. Yeah, show me if he's on his strong foot. Show me whereabouts in the penalty box he is. Show me if he's on balance or off balance. Show me if he's being muscled in the back as he's trying to win the header, because then there's context to it, Terry. Just saying he's created this amount of chances and they've both created X amount of big chances tells a tiny bit of the story. Yeah, because if I'm whipping a ball into the box the amount of times they do, and it's going to a 4-foot dwarf up front, right? And he's off balance and he's got a 6'6" centre back behind him. It skims off his head, hits the centre back and goes out. That's a big chance created because he's 6 yards out. But there's no context to it. Yeah, and this is why these assist stats, these created chances stats, these big created chance stats, they're a load of waffle, mate. Yeah, and there's no context to them. Yeah, the amount of big chances created needs to have context to it. The amount of chances created needs to have context, because I can create a chance for you, but I'll give you an example. If I whip a corner in, and the big centre back, you're the centre back, and you nod it over the bar, that's a chance created. Well, it ain't. It's a flipping hit and hope off a corner, mate. You're trying to put it into an area, hoping that somebody's going to get their nut on it. So that is not a chance created.
But this is my. But you've just again. There's not a lot that you're saying that I don't disagree with. Context is of course important. If Bruno Fernandes' big chance is created and he creates it for Alanga to score from, compared to KDB creating the chance for Haaland to score from, there's less chance that big chance created is going to be scored by Alanga than there is Haaland, because Haaland's a better player. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, of course he is.
Yeah, so I get
that's what I'm saying.
I get the context.
Chances created.
Let me just get this out. But what you've just said at the end of your statement there is exactly my point. If KDB crosses the ball into the box and someone gets their head on it, so he crosses it into an area. That's what all, by the way, this is what professional footballers are trained to do that are in a wide position. You cross the ball into the danger area, and it is then on your attackers to be in the right position. It's why sometimes you see a ball crossed and you hear the ex-pros say, oh, the ball was put into the right area. Why did nobody make a run? We know this is universally accepted in most of football. But your point at the end of that sentence there is what people do to Bruno. Bruno puts the ball into the danger area, and it's called a hit and hope. And let's see if somebody finds the end of it. A KDB or a Trent does the same cross, and everyone goes, oh, look at that ball. That is the Bruno.
No,
right there.
Trent just hits and hopes. He could be anywhere on the pitch. He'll just smash the ball as hard as he can.
He doesn't hit and hope. He crosses the ball because what Trent has the ability to do, and I join in with the banter on Trent, but David Beckham used to do it. David Beckham could sometimes be 10 to 15 yards into the half. He had the ability to cross the ball from there, put enough whip on it to put it into that danger zone from anywhere on that right-hand side. In fact, he could do it with his left foot on the left-hand side. They weren't hitting hopes. It was from here. I'm 40 yards
Did you
away.
not watch the game against you lot the other night? He was just smashing the ball up in the air as high as he can and as hard as he can. And now he kind of came off. Then he'll go and get one assist. Look how great he is.
What went wrong for Trent the other night is what I've seen Ronaldo do in games in his pomp. He just had an off night. He was crossing the ball and his crosses weren't coming off, but he wasn't hitting and hoping. The guy normally is accurate. If Tiger Woods on a golf course one day is swinging, but he keeps going into the rough and he keeps messing his shots up, it's not that he's bad at swinging his clubs. It's that he had an off day.
Okay, let's finish this. Let me ask you a question. Who's the better player, Bruno or KDB?
KDB.
Thank you very much and good night.
But that isn't thank you very much and good night. That doesn't excuse my point. That doesn't make Bruno's crosses wrong.
You're finished. You're in the mud.
I know I'm spot on. Listen, everyone that's tuned in, a big thank you to each and every single one of you. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again.